Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Bloom Carroll Board of Education meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Abbott?
Present.
Mr. Bratton?
Present.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Present.
Mrs. Sherman?
Present.
Number 3, pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 4, approval of agenda. We do not have any changes tonight on the docket. I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, second by Rod Johnson.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
And Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes. Number 5, approve the minutes from the November 14th, 2022 regular meeting. I didn't see any correction. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Jimmy Johnson, second by Jen Sherman.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Abstain.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Number 6, public participation. A citizen granted permission to address the board shall speak no longer than 3 minutes at one time, except by consent of the majority of the board members present. A maximum of 30 minutes of public participation may be permitted at each meeting. The Bloom Carroll Board of Education policy requires that individual names not be used as part of a complaint or concern being stated to the board during public participation part of the agenda. The board rests in its president's authority to terminate any remarks which may be defamatory, abusive, or otherwise cause undue interruption and interference with the orderly conduct of business. Number 1 tonight will be the high school updates with Mr. Conrad.
Thank you very much. Appreciate this. As always, our high school, we're trying to prepare our students for life after Bloom Carroll High School, and that's that college and career readiness. You're going to see that here tonight with our advanced Parley Pro team and the contest that they're going to be participating in. We have several different organizations at the high school, as you're aware of, that help develop their career and life skills within those courses. Obviously, as we wrap up the first semester here, we are moving into semester exams, the middle of January. We had a very successful athletic fall season, several mid-state league championships that I think you're all aware of, district runner-ups, as well as the very successful football team with the state runner-up. So exciting times there. Academically, our students preparing for life after Bloom Carroll High School. Between our advanced placement and our college credit plus students, they are on track to earn nearly 2,000 credit hours for this school year. Pretty impressive right there. We have several students who are at the new Workforce Development Center on Coon Path Road. They'll be starting actually with organizations, companies in January, working in the workforce and getting paid for that, starting in January. So we look forward to continuing that partnership in the future with that organization. We have several groups, such as the FFA group, competing throughout the entire school year. So we look forward to that. The FFA team, the Advanced Parliamentary team, they're going to demonstrate tonight what they've been working on since September. Many of these students are upperclassmen. They've been preparing since their freshman year for this. We have several students, such as Delaney Moore, who also was the runner-up in the National Talent Show at the FFA National Convention this year. So I did want to give her a shout out. I did ask her to sing something, but I pulled back on that a little bit tonight. Didn't want to put her on the spot with that. But this group here, they participated in the county competition. They won the county competition, moved on to the district competition, where, again, they won the district competition. Now they move on to the state competition, which takes place this Saturday. They are currently ranked number 1 based on an online test that they had to complete. So I know they're pretty proud of that. They've been working very, very hard throughout this school year to earn that number 1 ranking. So we're going to see what they can do on Saturday and hopefully bring home the championship. I know Ms. Bachman and Mrs. Moore, both coaches, have been working very hard as well, preparing our students. We're led here by the chair, Zach Burley. Zach. Chase Hamilton, secretary. Delaney Moore, as I mentioned, 1 team member. Henry Hoisington, another team member. Lacey Bachman, and Ryan Bender. We do have 2 alternates that aren't here tonight, Anna Sands and Catherine Wright, who go through the entire parliamentary practice and contests themselves in case there are substitutes needed during that time. So I did want to provide a quick shout out to them with that. So as we proceed, you guys ready to go? I think Ms. Bachman and Mrs. Moore are going to share a little bit more about this contest, and we're going to let the students show what they have done here. So, you guys ready? Jump up there, grab the chairs.
While they're getting set up here, thank you for the opportunity to let them come. Thank you, Mr. Hahn. We've been working very hard, as he mentioned. One of the things that FFA prides itself in is hopefully you know, is preparing leaders for tomorrow. And it's interesting that this team gets to come here because they get to see the real world parliamentary procedure in action. Now, they might be critiquing you a few times. Many of us that's been through this good old book here has been around for like hundreds of years. Robert wrote all the orders of how to run business meetings, and this is something that all of our members here have been studying and working. It's not the greatest read, all right, but they have been working on learning all these things as it pertains to running a business meeting. We can't do this by ourselves. This is a contest that is very, very challenging, and so that's where we enlist other people who have expertise in this. Mrs. Moore has graciously been donating a lot of her time after school to help coach this team. She was a former ag teacher who had a state qualifying team and did very well. So when you have somebody in your building that's that kind of a resource, you bring them on board, all right? And so Mrs. Moore, if you want to explain then what they're doing as far as the papers that you're going to be giving them and how the contest is run, and then we'll do the demonstration for you. Thanks again.
Thank you. And I want to thank them for the opportunity. So when your daughter asks you, hey mom, will you coach a team, as a parent, you know, how do you say no to that, right? Then today she, I think, was like, I don't know about my mom coaching this, right? And now, we've only been doing this for a few, months, and then both of these girls are like, you know how hard it is to have the team coaches be your moms? Because the other one's like, I don't know what the big deal is. So, so we didn't realize that till tonight. But it's really a pleasure for me to get to work with students in a different setting. As a high school counselor, I work with students in career development, and then getting to come after school. And pretty much these kids committed to every day for about 2 hours a day, plus all the study time. And what I love about this team is that they continue to push each other to be better. There's not a lot of teams where you really truly get to see that if it's not in a sports world. So it's getting to see this in more of the classroom setting, and really when one does well, the other one wants to do well for their team. So tonight, so I appreciate you letting me be a part of this. So the reason that they haven't been given these papers yet is because in order to simulate this contest, they have been given a list of abilities that are parliamentary abilities. They have been, they know that they need to know the rules for all of them. They do not know until the contest when they turn their paper over, and you will see this 2-minute meeting happen to prepare what they're actually gonna get. So they're literally seeing it for the first time when they flip the card over. And then they strategize for 2 minutes, and literally the clock starts, and they have to run it, time it. Chase over here is going to be doing minutes, so in addition to the debate that you're going to see tonight, and they all have to get at least 4 debates in, or that's the goal. Chase is also timing this, getting an ability in, and taking the minutes for this as well. And Zach, he is our chair who literally at any point, if something goes or derails, He is putting them back into order, and he is the one that pretty much holds all of the rules and can help facilitate that. So we hope tonight this will be an enjoyable experience for you guys to see. They're not nervous at all. But we are really proud of them. And so with that, we're going to get started. Whoops, as I dropped the paper.
So this is exactly how it'll go down on Saturday, right? I mean,
What's that?
this is exactly how it'll.
This is
go down.
exactly what you're gonna see. In addition, after, they'll have another test they take, and they'll get a question on the spot, which we're not gonna do tonight. So I've mixed these all up as well, so I don't know who's getting what. But for good luck, we never give Henry his till last, so we're just gonna keep that the way it's always been, so that's what we're gonna do. So, all right. With that, we're gonna go ahead, and we're gonna set the timer. And your 2 minutes begins now.
Chase, what do you have?
Suspend the rules.
Do you know how to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Brian, what do you have?
Division of the Assembly.
Do you know how to do that?
Yep.
Make sure you stand up. Lacey, what do you have?
Refer,
Do you know how to do that?
with power to act and report back.
Or back power to act?
Yep.
Henry, what do you have?
Take from the table.
Do you know how to do that?
Yes.
Does
That's
that
the
need to
first
happen
thing that
first?
happens.
Or before the motion?
Yes,
And we're gonna pass the take from the table so we can debate.
yes.
I have a previous question. Remind me again.
I stand up, I move.
Move the previous question?
I move the previous
No
question.
recognition, just stand.
Well, it'll
You
need
need
recognition.
recognition.
It'll need
Yeah,
recognition.
Okay.
And then we'll second it, and it's a 2/3 vote.
Okay. Zach, do you understand?
Yep.
Everybody read over the motions?
Chase, you are making the first motion, right?
Well, yes.
The.
Yes, take your table first.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but after that,
Think about your,
bonus.
your bonuses.
Probably point of order.
Okay, we probably should have an amend.
We should have amend.
Motion.
No.
Can somebody do a postpone? I'll do a postpone.
When do you recess?
Who's amending? Henry, do you want to amend?
Say almost 1, 2.
We're at 1:30.
Are you amended?
Who's got amend? Okay. You gonna do it?
Amendment
Okay.
take.
15 seconds. Chase, you good?
Yep.
Zach, you good?
Yep.
Everybody else?
Time?
Time.
Okay. At the tap of your gavel, the time begins.
Is there any new business?
Mr. Chair,
Henry,
I move to take from the table the motion regarding the small greenhouse for our ag department.
Second.
it has been moved and seconded that we take the motion to purchase a small greenhouse for our ag department onto the table. Is there any, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. We will be taking this motion from the table. Is there any debate on the main motion?
Mr. Chair,
Henry,
building a small greenhouse for our ag department would allow us to get our hands dirty and learn more about the fields of biology and botany. While there is much classroom study to be done in the ag department, allowing us hands-on experience will be greatly beneficial for us in the learning process. I urge you all to pass the motion.
Mr. Chair,
Delaney,
Assembly members, I need a no vote on this motion. I've had the opportunity to work at a greenhouse this past spring. While I worked there, I learned all the ins and outs of running a greenhouse. I know that it takes long hours to maintain those greenhouses and to make sure that they're kept at the right temperatures. We don't have enough students or enough hours in the day to keep track of all of this. Fail the motion.
Mr. Chair,
Lacey,
I'm against this motion because we only have one ag teacher, and that ag teacher we cannot ask our ag teacher to be in charge of this motion while we are on school breaks, such as our Christmas break. Fail this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Delaney,
I move the previous question.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded that we move the previous question. All those in favor of terminating debate and going directly to a vote, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. All those opposed, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. With a 1-4 vote in the negative, the motion for previous question fails. We are now back on the main motion.
Mr. Chair,
Delaney,
we had a committee a few months ago try to get a greenhouse for our FFA chapter. As we ran this through our principal, he told us that this is something that we simply cannot do for our school. With these reasons, we need to fail this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Ryan.
I'm for this motion. Our plant and animal science class in our FFA chapter does a microgreens project over the winter. Currently, we do not have a good place to grow these microgreens. Buying this greenhouse would be a great way for our FFA chapter to grow these microgreens. Pass the motion.
Mr. Chair,
Chase.
in our ag department classes, we get invaluable knowledge and research capabilities where we get to learn more about agriculture, but there is simply no substitute to hands-on learning, and this is something that the greenhouse would absolutely provide. For those reasons, we must pass this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Lacey.
after hearing debate, I have changed my stance on this motion. Not a lot, only 2% of our members in our ag classes have actual agricultural backgrounds. Having this greenhouse would give them a better way to understand the importance of agriculture and be able to do that with hands-on. Pass this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Delaney.
I move to postpone this main motion indefinitely.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we postpone this motion indefinitely. Is there any debate?
Mr. Chair,
Delaney.
Assembly members, we need to take into consideration how much money this is actually going to cost for our FFA chapter. We have lots of different events that we take our chapter members on throughout the year, and by purchasing this greenhouse, it's going to take money away from us that we won't be able to spend on this greenhouse. Postpone this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Chase.
I'm against this postponement. John F. Kennedy, in his 1960 inaugural address, said there should be no cost too high and no difficulty too great to overcome. By getting this greenhouse, we have an invaluable source to produce and work with our hands and learn more about agriculture. We should fill this postponement.
Mr. Chair,
Ryan.
I am firmly against this postponement. Our FFA motto says, doing to learn. If we were to buy this greenhouse, we would be able to learn about the plants and other soils that we could do in this greenhouse. Fail this postponement.
Is there any more debate on the postponement? Hearing none, we'll now proceed to a vote. All those in favor of postponing this motion indefinitely say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it. We're now back on the main motion.
Mr. Chair,
Henry.
I move to amend this motion by striking out greenhouse and inserting shed, so that the motion now reads, for our chapter to purchase a small shed for our ag department.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that to amend this motion by striking out greenhouse and inserting shed, so that if it were to pass, the motion would read to purchase a small shed for our ag department. Is there any debate?
Mr. Chair,
Henry.
this year we installed 2 new welding booths in our ag shop. As a result, we have had less space to conduct projects such as woodworking projects that we do continually throughout the year. Building a shed would allow us to move some of the stuff that is currently in our shop to the shed, freeing up room for other learning projects. I urge you all to pass the amendment.
Mr. Chair,
Lacey.
I am against this motion. While we have new welding booths in our shop, we just took down our aquaponics unit, and that frees up a bunch of space in our shop. That way, we do not need this small shed to house all of our extra equipment. Fail this amendment.
Is there any more debate on the amendment?
Mr. Chair,
Ryan.
we need this shed because we are currently in the process of getting a new aquaponics unit to put in our ag shop. We need the space. Pass this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Chase.
I'm against the proposed amendment. In our ag shop, there is limited space, but there could be a better job of organizing said space, and instead of creating new space, we should do a better job of organizing. We should fail this amendment.
Are you ready for the question? Hearing enough debate, we'll now proceed to a vote. All those in favor of amending this motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it. We will not be amending this motion. We're now back on the main motion.
I rise to a question of personal privilege.
State your question.
It is very hot in here. May I please remove my jacket?
Since this is a formal meeting, you may not remove your jacket. Therefore, your request is denied. Are you ready for the question? Hearing enough debate, we'll now proceed to a vote. All those in favor to purchase a small greenhouse for our ag department, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it. We will not be purchasing a small greenhouse. Is there any new business?
Mr. Chair,
Chase.
I move to host a community breakfast during National FFA Week to promote agriculture and the FFA.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to host a community breakfast during National FFA Week to promote agriculture and the FFA. Is there any debate?
Mr. Chair,
Chase.
agriculture is the largest industry in this nation, and by providing community outreach with our great community of Carroll, we can allow our fellow citizens to learn more about agriculture and its impact in our local community. By providing this breakfast, they'll get to learn more and speak with their very friendly FFA member and learn more about agriculture in our community. I strongly encourage the passing of this motion.
Mr. Chair.
Ryan.
I'm against this motion because during National FFA Week, our chapter does something every single day of the week. we simply would not have time to host this community breakfast. Fail this motion.
Mr. Chair.
Delaney.
CMA award winner and country music artist Cody Johnson says that success is when hard work and dedication become a reality. Any chance that we get to showcase our hard work and dedication to our community members is one we must take the opportunity up on. This is a great way to show all of our community members, the successful members that we have grown in our chapter. Pass this motion.
Mr. Chair.
Lacey.
FFA is the largest student-led organization in the entire country with over 800,000 members across the country. Our community does not understand the vastness and the opportunities that FFA can give, so hosting this breakfast will be a great way to shine some light on these opportunities we are giving to these students. Pass this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Henry.
part of the mission of FFA is developing premier leadership amongst all the students in our organization. Hosting a community breakfast for community members would allow us to serve the community and give back, qualities that any good leader should possess. I urge you all to pass the motion.
Mr. Chair.
Lacey.
I move to refer this to the National FFA Week Committee with power to act and to report back.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we refer this to the National FFA Week Committee. Is there any debate?
Mr. Chair.
Lacey.
Since we are so busy during National FFA Week, referring this to this committee would be a wonderful way to get more information to see if we can host this breakfast.
Mr. Chair,
Henry.
Benjamin Franklin once said that by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Referring this to this committee would allow us to gather more information and better put on this community breakfast. I urge you all to pass the commitment.
Is there any more debate on the referral? Hearing none, we'll now proceed to a vote. All those in favor of referring this motion to the National FFA Week Committee, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it. We will not be referring this motion. Is there any more debate on the main motion?
Mr. Chair,
Ryan.
I believe the Assembly could benefit from informal consultation. Therefore, I move to take a 5-minute recess.
Second.
Is it moved and seconded that we take a 5-minute recess? Are there any amendments? Hearing none, we'll now proceed to a vote. All those in favor of taking a 5-minute recess, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The noes have it. We will not be taking a 5-minute recess.
Division.
Division of the House has been called. We will now take a revote by a visual method. All those in favor, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. All those opposed, please rise. Thank you. Be seated. With a 2-3 vote in the negative, the recess fails.
All right, so parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
What vote did this main motion require?
This main motion requires a majority vote. Are you ready?
Mr. Chair,
Chase.
we cannot simply turn down this community breakfast event during National FFA Week. National FFA Week is a week across the nation where fellow FFA members and chapters celebrate their successes. By sharing this with our community, they'll get to learn valuable lessons and truly understand what it means to be the future of agriculture. I encourage a positive vote on this motion.
Mr. Chair.
Lacey.
Agriculture is the biggest industry in the entire in our country, and it is responsible for the majority of our economy in this country. Hosting this breakfast would be a great way to celebrate the 2% that feed the 100%.
Is there any more debate on the main motion?
Mr. Chair.
Delaney.
We need to take into consideration what it would look like to host this breakfast. This breakfast would be before school hours, which most of our students and FFA members don't arrive until around 7:30. This is something we'd have to make sure our FFA members knew about and enough time where they could plan to come ahead of the time. It looks like we won't have members that are able to do this, therefore, we need to fail this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Chase.
Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, said, "We must dare to be great, for greatness is the fruit of toil." Whether it be getting up early or the preparations that may be necessary before, the FFA should pursue every step to make sure that we have the best impact on our community in the best positive way.
Are you ready for the question? Hearing enough debate, we'll now proceed to a vote. All those in favor to host a community breakfast during National FFA Week to promote agriculture and the FFA, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it. We will be hosting a community breakfast. Seeing no further new business, I declare this meeting adjourned.
Great connection there. Great example of connecting what they're learning in the classroom and the real world. So very proud of you guys. Good luck on Saturday. Thanks for sharing. I hope to hear a few JFK. Great
Can I
job.
ask a couple questions? So, when you prepare for this, have you guys previously debated this topic?
No.
No.
Everything.
And the quotes you have, you have those to try to work those in off the cuff?
Yes.
And then, was any of that memorized besides the quotes? Or these are just topics that you've come up, like, your argument is off the cuff?
Yes.
Impromptu.
Most of the stats, the statistics, and the quotes we have memorized, and we just try and find ways to work it into discussion.
Absolutely. You guys were amazing. Really, really impressive. Thanks so much. That
Where's
was fun.
the competition at this weekend?
It's in Delaware Career Center, north of Columbus.
Great.
Good luck. You guys
Good luck.
will be great. Make us proud.
Good luck.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much. I was gonna say, I'm coming with folks next month. We're all gonna come. It shows us that we learned something.
Good that they're leaving, so they don't hear us.
Yeah. They would be disappointed. That was fun. Yeah. Really impressive, really impressive. I got nervous.
I did too.
You know, like, I don't know what I would say. Like, because you're trying to read and think, and you're nervous. You can tell they're well practiced.
Okay, let's move right along. We do have one public participation. Jamie Moran. I'm sorry.
I have awful handwriting.
This is in regards to the band. Marie.
Yeah, so, hi everyone, I spoke last month, it's good to see you again. I sent all of you the PowerPoint with 22 slides, 9 references, and all the stats. So I took all the information that I kind of spoke about and then put it into something other than just giving you a whole bunch of stuff to hopefully make it a little easier to understand. I did hear back from Mr. Abbott saying that you all would read it over, but I haven't heard anything since. And then I also understand nobody has been to actually hear how loud they are yet. So I had a little bit of information. As you know, they had their band holiday concert last week. I don't know how many were there. I know Mr. Hahn was there. I saw you there. And the kids were super excited. They did a great job. And just to give some levels for those who were there, I know you were there. They were facing towards one wall, so the stands are like this. They were facing this way, and I was all the way back here, kind of high. So I used my same apps I used before just to say, hey, I wonder how loud it is in here. So just for reference, before I gave you levels, average decibel levels, pretty much the entire day was anywhere between mid-80s to 90s up to well over 100 throughout the different classes. Being in the cafe or the gym with all of that space, the 6th graders, there were 73 at one time playing for the 6th graders. They were really mid-70s to 80s. The 7th graders, there were 52 7th graders in that large space. They hit the mid-70s. The 8th grade, so I took these at the detriment of getting pictures of my child, but other people took them for me. There were 43 8th graders, and they were between 70 and 80. The high schoolers were in the 70s. There were 71 high schoolers. They were in the mid to upper 70s. All the band, all the kids came in and they played together. They were mid to high 70s, and they would occasionally get up to 90s at times. I can tell you when everybody applauded and cheered afterwards, you would get up to the mid-90s. So just the difference in a larger space and how much of a difference it makes to the sound and how it travels, which gets to what I was explaining before. So I just wanted to share that with you, and then I wanted to ask when we can expect, because this is a safety concern that was raised for the kids and for the band director, and that's any band director who comes in here, if there's any plans for anybody to actually come out and evaluate the safety of the room for our kids, and then when we can expect to hear any plans for improving the safety of not only our kids and our band director, or having NIOSH, as I mentioned, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, come out and actually do an evaluation of the room, because an app on my phone is a little different than getting a dosimeter out there to measure whether there's risk for noise-induced hearing loss.
Mr. Johnson, permission to speak?
Yes.
Thanks for showing up again. We appreciate that information. And I'll speak real quick, and hopefully we get something to you soon.
Sure.
We had our October planning meeting, and this wasn't brought to our attention really till probably November, I would say.
It was when I brought it in
Right,
November.
well, and there were some things beforehand, I think that Mr. Hahn gave us a couple days before
Okay.
in anticipation of this, but this is something that we'll work through Mr. Hahn about in regards to that. That wasn't part of the conversation, back then when we had this discussion, but we understand the importance, and hearing is important to everybody, right, at the end of the day. And the kids' safety and the band director's safety. We'll work through, like we'd said before, with Mr. Hahn, we'll work with Mr. Falvo, even Mr. Yoder, if he's included in with that too, with Mr. Conrad back there, I think he's still out there, and Mr. Young as well. But this is something we will have a discussion about and look at our options from a facilities management perspective, because at the end of the day, it's really about space, right? And we completely understand that, built around that.
And I do understand that everything costs money, and money's not something that grows on trees. We all wish it did, and if I had plenty of it, I would hand it all over, but obviously I don't, because I work full-time, unfortunately. Maybe one day I'll hit the lotto. But the only thing that I would encourage consideration is to look at space options for the safety of our increasing kids, because really the room as it is isn't safe. So it's not something that can wait until a new band room can be built. It's something that we need to look to see what we can work with now. Thank you for your time.
Real quick, so
Sure.
as far as decibels, between 70 and 80 is where?
Under 85,
Okay.
over 85 causes harm. Now, again, there's a length of time that it takes. So you're looking at, it's in the PowerPoint, but like 104, I think the kids topped out at 105, 106 can cause harm in 4 minutes. 8 hours at 85, but then you go to 90s, which is where we tend to hit with several of the classes, and then you go down by your time by half. Every 3 decibels you go up. So 85 then is 8 hours, and then go up by 3, 88 is 4 hours, then you go up to 92 and that's 2 hours. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it changes based off your length. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to number 7, treasurer recommendations and reports.
Okay, item 7A is approve the November financial statements for a total expense of $10,148,652.17, including just under $7.5 million in consortium expenses. You have the November statement within your electronic packet. Really not a lot to report on. November and December, again, are typically the lowest revenue months of the year. So holding steady with our revenues exceeding our estimates, again, mainly due to the income tax, as you can see there in the executive summary. November is the month with the largest salary and wage expenditures, paying all the fall coaches and all those supplementals. So even with that, we are very, very close, within just almost $3,300 of our budget. So a good 5 months into the fiscal year, we're looking good. Current carryover, as you can see there, a little over $5.8 million as of November 30th. Any questions on the financial statements for November or the checks written during the month?
Sir, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion made by Jimmy Johnson, second by Mr. Bratton.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Item B is approve continuing Bloom Carroll's membership in the South Central Ohio Insurance Consortium for an additional 3-year term commencing July 1st of 23, running through June 30th of 26. On page 33, I went through this in depth at our finance committee meeting in November with Mr. Rod Johnson. I know he's on board with this. We really got down into the weeds and looked at everything. We've been with the consortium for quite a while. We've had some good, really good renewals. Again, this is our health, dental, life, and vision insurance that we run through the consortium. We've had some really good renewal increases, very low. To do our due diligence, though, we did get 2 other quotes. And there's really two huge reasons why that I'm making this recommendation. Obviously, one is just lower costs, lower premiums obviously for the board and the employees. Number two is protection for those large claims. Most companies right now are lasering out those large claims, and really you have no coverage at that point for those claims that they laser out. Our current stop loss with the consortium, there's no lasering. So anything above 500,000, our stop loss covers up, however high the claim goes. We're protected. So that's really the big thing in this day and age, is that stop loss protection that we have with the consortium. So again,
The difference was huge in regards to that between the two other quotes that we had.
yeah, exactly. So again, like I said, went through in depth with the finance committee, and I think we're all on board with this recommendation tonight.
I will make the motion for that, Mr. Johnson.
Motion, I'll second. Motion made by Mr. Rod Johnson, second by Jimmy Johnson.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Item C, approve the bid from Rush Bus Centers for the purchase of one 78-passenger bus at a total cost of $119,306. This was competitively bid through the Meta program that we joined a couple of months ago. You can see the breakdown on page 34 of like anything else, the cost of buses, like everything else, is rising too. So the cost per the unit itself, $108,656. We do get a 10-year or 100,000 miles. The 100,000 miles will hit first, obviously. Engine warranty there, but that takes just one time to use that for it to pay itself off. And then this also includes our cameras and radios to be in line with our current fleet, 4,500s. That's the breakdown of the bus.
Or just to have an extra backup?
That's a good question. I'm probably going to replace, we're probably going to get rid of one, but I haven't coordinated that with Mrs. Spellman yet to determine which one.
And this was already included in the budget.
Yes.
And then when we purchased the last one, I can't remember if it was last year or year before, but how much, was it 80 or 85?
It was almost 90, so you can see the increase there. It's
I will make that motion. Second.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, second by Mr. Bratton.
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mr. Bratton,
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson.
Yes.
Item D is approve the press box replacement project with Sightlines as competitively bid through the TIPS Purchasing Co-op contract number 200800101 at a total cost of $319,377 to be funded through the athletic booster donations and district funds. Spending quite a few money here in C&D. I'm a little nervous, but no, you have the proposal on page 35. I know Mr. Williams, I think Mrs. Crozier are here. We met with Sightlines, who is the architect and the designer, with Mr. Hahn and myself a couple of weeks ago. Outdoor Aluminum is the installer, so you can see here what's included in this quote. The press box itself, the camera deck on top, the press box understructure, and the foundations, including all the installation. We'll also have some electrical work through Proline that we're doing separate. The demo of the existing press box, it looks like that's going to be completely donated, free of charge, from a group that's affiliated with Summit Construction. I know that Mr. Hahn's been working with that, so we appreciate that. Again, this is the first step. If it's approved tonight, we'll send in the purchase order tomorrow morning, literally, and we'll be going from there. So,
And when will the construction start?
It would be, we're targeting after the Mid-State League track meet on May 12th. We host on Tuesday and then Friday the 12th, and then we should be able to, we got to do the disconnects of the electric and IT equipment out there, some sound equipment, and then I think it's the week of May 26th. We were going to try to start with the demolition, and then that'll take a couple days, and then we'll start the foundations after that. It's about a 2-week process, believe it or not, but we should have plenty of time in June. I think the week of June 6th, they were going to start foundations, and then really we need it done. We need it done by mid-July. We can still access the stadium for summer camps and things for the kids, and the different varsity coaches put on camps for soccer and football and things like that. So we can still use the stadium while that's going on. It'll just be safety fence up around the back of the bleachers there.
I would like to, I know a lot of people's been involved with it, but I'd like to thank you, Barb and Mark. I know you guys have been instrumental in it, a lot of hard work and behind the scenes work, so appreciate it.
Great job.
It's a lot of popcorn.
And horses.
Yeah.
And horses.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, and I'll second. Motion made by Mr. Bratton and seconded by Jimmy Johnson.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
And Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
And finally, we're thankful to be able to recognize the following donations to the Bloom Carroll Local School District. There's actually 3. Jennifer sent me one late Friday. Number 1, Greenfield Township Fire Department, $299.90 for Stop the Bleed Kids. X-Church, $500 value. Composite wood bench for BC Middle School. And number 3 is Carter Business Enterprises, $665 to pay off the outstanding elementary lunch balances. So thankful to those 3 groups.
What was it, Carter Business what?
Carter Business Enterprises
Does that pay off all the charges
for the elementary.
for the elementary?
Yeah.
I would make that motion. Second.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, seconded by Rod Johnson.
Mr. Abbott? Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Number 8, old business. Approve the following policies as presented, 1 through 9.
This is our third reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
No, second that.
Motion made by Jen Sherman, seconded by Joe Abbott.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes. All right, number 9, superintendent's recommendations and reports. Mr. Hahn.
Thank you. Kind of a short month since the last meeting, we had Thanksgiving break in there, we had that conference, and then Thursday and Friday off. Been a lot going on though with different things that certainly wanted to point out. Everybody's probably well aware. Mr. Conrad mentioned a few things, maybe stole my thunder on a couple things, but state runner-up, obviously. First time we've been in a state championship besides baseball and softball. So congratulations to Coach McKinney and his staff, and most importantly, all of our students that got a great experience. Cheerleaders, band, football team. It was just a really neat experience for the kids to go up there to Canton and, the pep rally, team send-off, a clap out at the elementary school. Saw a lot of little kids out at the elementary school wearing their jerseys, and you could just imagine being a young elementary student looking up to those guys and someday wanting to be there yourself. So they just really represented our community really well, and just very proud of them. And I also want to thank the athletic boosters and the music boosters for participating with the district to send our student athletes up there in style on some charter buses. It was very expensive and hard to pull together. There were not a lot of vendors that had buses available with a week's notice, but it all worked out, and that's because, again, we worked together to make that happen for our kids. So thank you. Winter concerts have been going on. Band, middle school, high school band. We've got choir this week. Wednesday night, we have choir going on. The elementary school took place, kindergarten and first grade. Their Christmas program and holiday program took place. Just the kids did a great job. All of our, performing arts programs, instrumental music teachers did a very good job with that, and they were well attended. So thank you to them. Again, I just wanted to congratulate the parliamentary procedure team for winning the district and moving on to the state this Saturday up at Delaware. So the advisors, Amy Moore and Christy Bachman, certainly deserve a lot of credit for leading those students and teaching them. And you can see how sharp they are, how well they do in those Robert's Rules of Order. So that's it, just kind of a short update. We've got a short month here in terms of the students, obviously are done on the Friday the 16th. And just a regular schedule. I've heard some rumblings of always at a 2-hour early release. So it's a normal schedule on that Friday, and then they're off for a couple weeks, and we come back on Tuesday after New Year's. So we'll kind of pick right up and go from there. But just a lot of spring planning. It seems to never end, the cycle of start school, start planning, whether it's short term or long term, just in that cycle right now. And we'll really ramp up here in January with some additional planning. So any questions about any items?
No, sir.
All right, let's move on to 9B, students and programs. Number 1, approve the attendance of Guillermo Sanchez Lopez, a foreign exchange student from Spain at the high school for the 23-24 school year. Number 2, approve participation in indoor track and field for the 22-23 school year to be supervised by the high school track coaches. And number 3, approve an overnight out-of-state trip for the high school softball team to the Ripken Experience in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, April 6th through the 10th, 2023, to be chaperoned by softball coaches, pending final itineraries.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Jimmy Johnson, second by Jim Sherman.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
All right, 9C, number 1, approve substitute list number 5 for December 2022 as submitted by the Fairfield County ESC. Number 2, approve a resolution for the employment of Rebecca Hinkle as interim athletic and student activities director, effective December 1st, 2022 through June 9th, 2023. Number 3, approve the creation of a school security officer position effective February 1st, 2023. Just want to clarify, again, we have talked about this throughout the end of the summer, in the planning session in October. It's called a school security officer's position because it's actually employed by the district through an agreement, which I'm asking you guys to approve later on, through an agreement or an MOU with the sheriff's office. It's a retired commissioned deputy, Fairfield County Sheriff's deputy, that'll be in uniform, that'll look just like our SRO, but the law, the way it's written, the revised code, that is a school security officer for us. We still have a school resource officer, but we're adding an additional one. So we'll have one permanently at the elementary school and one always over here on this campus to help be proactive and a resource for our students and staff and families. All right, number 4, approve a job description for a school security officer. Number 5, approve the employment of Brent Lambert as a school security officer at the elementary school on a 1-year limited contract effective February 1st, 2023 through June 2nd, 2023, pending approval of agenda item 9D4, which is the MOU that I just explained with the County Sheriff's Office. Number 6, approve the following requests for FMLA leaves of absence for up to 60 days for Janine Walker, an elementary school teacher, effective on or about April 11th, 2023, and for Teresa Schmitz, high school head cook, effective on or about December 12th, 2022. Number 7, approve the following long-term substitute for the 22-23 school year. That would be Michaela Gillenwater for Laura Richardson at the elementary school, effective on or about March 30th, 2023 through the end of the school year. And Ray Sheehan for Janine Walker at the elementary school, effective on or about April 11th, 2023 through the end of the school year. Number 8, approve the following classified substitutes for the 22-23 school year for Daniel Chapman, a custodian, effective going back on December 8th, 2022. Number 9, approve the following home instructors for the 2022-23 school year at the tutor hourly rate for Jennifer Harrison for 17 hours of home instruction and Jessica Stortz for up to 10 hours of home instruction. Number 10, approve the following requests for unpaid leaves of absence for up to 60 days for Amy Roby, middle school monitor, effective January 3rd, 2023, and Jason Stortz, a groundskeeper, effective on or about January 18th, 2023. Number 11, approve the following requests for a pay scale advancement, effective December 13th, 2022, for Anthony Ireland from a master's degree to a master's degree plus 15 semester hours, and for Kristen Neff from a master's degree to a master's degree plus 15 semester hours. Number 12, approve moving Tony Stadler from the administrative assistant pay index to the transportation supervisor pay index during the absence of Carmen Spellman, the current transportation supervisor, effective December 1st, 2022. Number 13, approve the following request for an unpaid leave of doc day for Denise Goff at the elementary school, December 2nd, 2022, and Brenda Weber, middle school cook, December 2nd, 2022. Number 14, approve the placement of Edelise Aquino, Ohio State University, for clinical observation and placements, or clinical observation placement with Christy Bachman at the high school from January 9th, 2023 through April 24th, 2023. Number 15, amend the following 2022-23 athletic supplemental contracts. Adam Sharrow, 8th grade softball coach from Group D with 1 year of experience, from 100% of the stipend to 50%. And Leah Phillips from 7th grade softball to JV softball coach, Group C with 0 years of experience. And Victoria Butler from JV softball coach to 7th grade softball coach, Group D with 0 years of experience. 16, approve the following athletic supplemental contracts for the 22-23 school year, pending receipt of verifications and background checks for Lonnie Cush, her 8th grade softball, 50%. And number 17, approve the following athletic department volunteers for the 22-23 school year, pending timely receipt of all verifications and background checks for Brett Mitchell, Jacob Bassnett, and Frank Reese. Number 18, approve the list of school volunteers for the 22-23 school year, pending receipt of background checks.
I'll make the motion. Motion made by Jimmy Johnson, second by Mr. Bratton.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
And moving on to Part D, contracts and agreements, approve the participation in the OSBA's online policy services for online policy website hosting, updating, and PDQ subscriptions effective January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Approve the use of a facilities agreement with the Jerry Garber YMCA for pool rental for the high school swim team effective November 1, 2022 through February 25th, 2023. Number 3, approve an agreement with the Robert K. Fox Family YMCA for pool rental for the high school swim team, effective November 2nd, 2022 through February 22nd, 2023. And number 4, approve a memorandum of understanding with the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office for a school security officer for Bloom Carroll Elementary School, effective January 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Motion made by Joe Abbott, second by Jimmy Johnson.
Mr. Abbott? Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Okay, nothing under 9E and 9F, so Jimmy, back to you.
Okay, number 10, new business. Approve blank as president pro tempore to preside over the organizational meeting and all other meetings prior to the election of a new president.
Is that all right with you, Jim?
Yeah.
It's just like the acting president. We always not. I'll go ahead and make the motion to, for Jimmy Johnson as president pro tempore.
Okay, thank you. B, approve the following policy on one reading. 1, presented as 1, procurement and use of Narcon, JHCD-3.
I'll second.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, second by Rod Johnson.
Again, we've talked about this for quite a while. In April, there was a bill passed that allows school districts to obtain Narcan or naloxone. Just the way drug cartels are marketing fentanyl to people all over the world at this point, it looks like candy. We've talked about this. If we ever had a student potentially exposed, we wanted to be able to react quickly, not wait 10, 15 minutes for Greenfield Township to be able to respond. And our school nurses have received training through the FDH. The Ohio Revised Code required that the Board of Health, through their medical officer or the Department of Health Commissioner, if they wrote the written orders, then a school district could train individuals to administer Narcan in the use of emergency situations. I don't feel like we need to wait for 2 or 3 policy readings. Typically, I understand the value of that, but I feel like potentially if there was a problem and we're sitting here saying it's because of red tape, I would be concerned with that. So I'm asking for 1 reading on this to get it in place tomorrow.
100%. Yes. So I'll make that motion. I second.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, seconded by Rod Johnson.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
And Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes. Number 11, board reports and information. Board of Education liaison updates. Number 1, facility management.
Been one tonight, in the press box, so
Yeah,
congratulations to everyone.
Yeah.
I think
that's awesome.
The other thing though is, I mean, from a facility standpoint, to her point, let's look, first of the year sometime, the facilities committee getting together and looking at this space and working with Mr. Conrad and that, but let's just have a discussion with our committee on that, with me and Mr. Abbott, you and Travis.
Number 2, personnel and labor management, Mr. Bratton, John? No updates. Number 3, OSBA representatives.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is Senate Bill 178. The Senate's considering a bill to restructure the State Board of Education. You guys might get updates on it, but it's kind of a big deal. You might want to look through it a little bit because they're talking about the whole restructure of it, but Senate Bill 178. So I'm going to say that, guys.
Number 5 is policy.
Just have a final, or third reading
Yeah.
on that one.
So we're meeting Wednesday at 2:30.
We've got a new PDQ for November, so we're meeting Wednesday at 2:30, I think. 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apologies. Can't help it.
Safety, health, and wellness.
No further update from me.
Finance, Mr. Bratton. B, upcoming PTO Boosters Board of Education meetings. December 19th through January 2nd of 2023, winter break, no school. January 4th, Board of Education organizational and regular meeting, 6 p.m. right here at Blue Carroll Middle School. January 9th, Athletic Boosters meeting, 7 p.m. at the Blue Carroll Middle School cafeteria. January 10th, Blue Carroll Middle School PTO meeting at 2:30, Blue Carroll Middle School Media Center.
That's good.
Further discussion, we'll adjourn in recess.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Jim Sherman, second by Rod Johnson.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes, time is 6:57.